quite a few alumni are concerned about the carbon footprint of Bitcoin. Well, open topic. Can you elaborate on that a bit, please?
The very first question is, what is the concern as a whole, right? So the carbon footprint of anything always stands in the value that this thing puts out, because we can put the carbon footprint to anything, right? We can put it to the internet, we can put it to this Zoom call, we can put it to cell phones, we can put it to social media, we can put it to your car, we can put it to airplanes, we can always put it to something. So at the end, we have to ask ourselves, is it worth it or not to have that carbon footprint? That's how it all starts. And so to me, even if the carbon footprint stayed as it is right now of Bitcoin, and again, I don't think it will, and I wouldn't want it to stay that way, but even if it were to stay as it is, I would be okay with that for the very simple reason, because money is something so fundamental, and I just want to have an option to not be dependent on governments on how I handle my wealth. I want to have an escape route, and that escape route to me is so essential. Yes, we can talk about saving the environment all day long, but if I'm a prisoner, I will have other worries other than the government, the environment, and any human being is going to be this way. And you see this in all the countries where there's economic suppression, where there's no freedom. These countries statistically do not care about the environment for the simple reason because people need to survive first. And if I'm being suppressed by the government, I'm not going to look for these other options. So if I can be free, and if the government knows that, because I can cross a border and the government cannot take anything away from me because all I have is 24 words memorized in my head, and that allows me to transport millions, dozens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of my wealth. Countries know that, and they are not going to be able to suppress these people the same way as they could take away gold, they could take away real estate, and so on. So to me, that's where the foundation of everything starts. And so if someone says, what about the carbon footprint? My counter question is, what like, to me, the value it puts to me is way more important than the carbon footprint. Now, that doesn't mean I would want to leave it that way. And I don't think anyone in the ecosystem would want to leave it this way. And we see this. We see trends of Bitcoin mining shifting towards renewable energies. We see Bitcoin mining shift dramatically to so-called excess energy. Especially in China, we see this, where Bitcoin miners go and they kind of negotiate with a lot of the energy providers that they can utilize this excess energy that normally somehow needs to get wasted off, and they can use this in the Bitcoin network, mine Bitcoin, generate Bitcoins with energy that normally would have just been kind of gotten out of the system without really being efficiently used, being turned into heat or something else. That's the first thing. The second thing is obviously renewables is going up and needs to keep going up. Of all of Iceland, people discuss when they talk about the energy footprint of Iceland's Bitcoin mining, that it's surpassing Iceland's other parts of energy. What they're not mentioning is that a lot of that energy is actually geothermal, is renewable. So that is super, super important. And it goes even further now. We saw Elon Musk, righteously or not, discuss the footprint of Bitcoin mining and him not wanting to accept Bitcoins on Tesla. Fair enough. He has backpedaled and said, as soon as Bitcoin's mining is going to be 50% green, I'm more open to accept it again. I see very large institutional investors going the route of saying, if I want to buy Bitcoin, I want to know if that Bitcoin is mined with green energy or not. And I want to know that. And so now firms actually start investing in mining companies that exclusively mine green Bitcoin. And to me, that's exactly the right way to go. It's unfair going to Bitcoin and saying, hey, you're not green, get out, which is super unfair because most other industries for decades weren't green. And now they're going this route. So to me, it's exactly the same thing. Yes, it's not optimal where Bitcoin is right now. And yes, I would hope that over the next 10 years, this entire footprint is resolved or it has really gotten optimized. But that doesn't mean that just because right now it is where it is, that it doesn't have a place to exist. It's actually the exact opposite for me.